Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Nishit Kumar and with me is Rupinder Kaur Chawla with the Midday News. The headlines. Centre steps up efforts to curb the shortage of medical oxygen across the country. Direct states and union territories to ensure liquid oxygen is exclusively used for medical purposes only. Over 14 crore and 19 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. More than 2,19,000 patients recover in the last 24 hours. 3,52,000 fresh cases of COVID-19 reported in the country in the last 24 hours. Sardar Patel COVID Care Centre starts functioning at Radha Swami Bias in Chhatarpur, Delhi. With 500 oxygen bed facility, the capacity to be increased to 5,000 beds. Delhi and Odisha government to provide free vaccines to every person aged above 18 years. In West Bengal, polling underway for the 7th phase in 34 districts. 55.12% polling recorded so far. Polling underway for the 3rd phase of Panchayat elections in 20 districts of Uttar Pradesh. Nomadland wins the Best Picture Award at the Oscars. Anthony Hopkins wins the Best Actor Award. And Frances McDormand wins the award for the Best Actress. And in IPL cricket, Punjab Kings to take on Kolkata Knight Riders at Ahmedabad this evening. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower their guard. Take all precautions and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. The government has stepped up efforts to curb the shortage of medical oxygen in the country. Centre has directed states and union territories to ensure that liquid oxygen is exclusively used for medical purposes only. The exception to 9 industries has also been withdrawn in order to enhance availability of medical oxygen in the country. Union Home Secretary and Chairman of the National Executive Committee, Ajay Bhalla, has written to Chief Secretaries of States and Administrators of the Union Territories in this regard. He has asked all manufacturing units to maximize their production of liquid oxygen and make it available to government for use of medical purposes only with immediate effect until further orders. All stocks of liquid oxygen should also be made available to the government for use of medical purposes. The Secretary said no exception is allowed to any industry with regard to use of liquid oxygen. Indian Air Force is continuously engaged in supplying oxygen in the country. Home Minister said Indian Air Force, in coordination with the ministry, has moved oxygen cylinders from Udaipur to Jamnagar yesterday. It also said the first tanker, which came by road, was emptied within 3 hours and was loaded into an aircraft to Jamnagar for refilling.
Under the Indian Railways initiative, Oxygen Express to make available medical oxygen to people across the country, Maharashtra received 44 tons of liquid oxygen today. The RO service carrying 3 tankers of liquid medical oxygen on BWT wagons, which left from Hapa in Gujarat on yesterday evening, reached Kalamboli in Navi Mumbai near Raigad district in Maharashtra. More from our correspondent.
Traversing a distance of approximately 860 kilometers via a special fast-track route, the 3 tankers reached Kalamboli in Navi Mumbai at around 11:30 a.m. today, bringing respite to thousands of corona-affected people who have been suffering due to the dearth of oxygen. 3 tankers, 1 each, will be sent to Mumbai, Thane and Pune. Earlier, Nagpur in Maharashtra had received 3 tankers yesterday evening. Out of 3 tankers received, 2 tankers were sent to Nagpur and 1 tanker to Amravati district. Each tanker contained 15 metric tons of liquid oxygen. Nagpur District Collector Ravindra Thakre said that COVID patients in Nagpur district have been greatly relieved by the arrival of these tankers. Devapriya Bhattacharjee, AIR News, Mumbai.
Oxygen cylinders are essential for fabrication business, but some businessmen from Beed district of Maharashtra have offered their oxygen cylinders to the administration for treatment of COVID patients. In response to local administration's appeal, these fabrication businessmen have closed their shops and provided more than 25 cylinders to COVID centers. They are even trying to source more cylinders from other places and provide them to administration. In Gujarat, the 900-bed Dhanvantri COVID Care Hospital, jointly set up by the DRDO and the state government at Gujarat University Convention and Exhibition Centre in Ahmedabad, has become operational. The hospital started admitting patients yesterday. According to the sources, the hospital started admitting patients through 108 emergency services. More beds will be made available to COVID-19 patients in a phased manner in coming days. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah had reviewed the dry run of this hospital last week, which had 900 beds with oxygen facility, out of which 100 ICU beds are with ventilators. A dairy cooperative in North Gujarat has set up an oxygen plant for the COVID patients in a record 72 hours. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
Banas Dairy in Banaskantha district of North Gujarat sets up a 680 kg per day oxygen plant that can serve about 40 patients a day. While the big metro cities are struggling for oxygen support for critical COVID patients, a team of engineers of Banas Dairy made this miracle. This initiative was taken up after the dairy-supported Banas Medical College and Research Institute in Palanpur faced a severe oxygen crisis for about 125 COVID patients. The situation was saved by managing to get some oxygen cylinders. However, the chairman of the dairy, Sri Shankar Chaudhary, decided to make some permanent arrangements. Now the oxygen plant is operational and generating oxygen equivalent to 70 jumbo oxygen cylinders. Yogesh Pandya, Air News, Ahmedabad.
In Bihar, oxygen plants will be set up in 15 districts of the state to meet the demand of medical oxygen across the state. These plants will be set up under the PM CARES Fund. The oxygen generation plants will be set up in identified districts of the state. These districts are Patna, Begusarai, Darbhanga, Bhagalpur, Bhojpur, Gaya, Gopalganj, Katihar, Madhubani, Muzaffarpur, Nalanda, West Champaran, Purnia, Saharsa and Vaishali. Health Minister Mangal Pandey said oxygen tank with 20 kiloliter capacity will be constructed in all government medical colleges of the state. 111 cylinders will be filled up with 1 kiloliter liquid oxygen. Fresh cases of COVID-19 continue to rise rapidly in the state. A record number of 12,795 fresh cases were reported yesterday. 118 deaths were also reported. With this, casualties due to the pandemic has gone up to 2,155. Positivity rate has gone over 12%. Maximum positive cases of 1,848 were reported from Patna, followed by 1,340 from Gaya. The Sardar Patel COVID Care Center at Radhaswamy Vyas Chhatarpur in South Delhi started functioning today morning with the admission of patients. The patients referred by District Surveillance Officer of Delhi districts are being admitted. There is no walk-in admission at the center. Patients will first report at the reception after initial documentation. Afterwards, physical examination will be done and they will be admitted to the hospital. A kit will be provided to them after their admission. All medical treatment, medicines, food and other facilities are being provided free of cost. Services of stress counselor is also being provided at the center. Home Ministry has designated Indo-Tibetan Border Police ITBP as the nodal force for operationalizing the Sardar Patel COVID Care Center in the national capital. According to Indo-Tibetan Border Police, the facility with 500 oxygen beds has been operationalized and more beds will be added in the next few days. Tamil Nadu government, after considering the urgent need for increased oxygen production, has decided to reopen Vedanta's oxygen manufacturing plant at Tuticorin. The Vedanta Group approached the Supreme Court to allow production of oxygen through its plant in Tuticorin. In an all-party meeting headed by Chief Minister Palaniswamy at the State Secretariat today, 5 resolutions including reopening of Vedanta production plant was passed. Our correspondent reports that the all-party meeting has resolved to allow the plant to manufacture the much-needed requirement of oxygen in the state. The government will render power supply to the plant for the manufacture of 1,050 tons of oxygen for a period of 4 months. All parties also resolved to prioritize the requirement of oxygen for the state, and the remaining oxygen would be sent to other states. The government also said that members of different groups which oppose the industry will be given a place in the expert group to monitor oxygen production along with the district administration. The resolution states that according to the requirements, the period of 4 months would be increased. However, the copper smelting plant will not be allowed to reopen. According to the state government, in the High Court, only 35 tons of oxygen out of the 1,500 50 tons of oxygen manufactured every day in the plant is for medical use. The oxygen manufactured from the plant would be given for medical purposes to the hospitals free of cost.
India has administered over 14 crore 19 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses in the country so far. Union Health Ministry said that more than 9,95,000 beneficiaries have been inoculated with COVID-19 vaccine doses in the last 24 hours. A total number of 3,52,991 new cases have been reported in the country in the last 24 hours, taking the cumulative positive cases to over 1 crore 73 lakh. The Health Ministry said 2,812 deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours, taking the toll to over 1,95,000 across the country. The country's COVID-19 recovery rate is at 82.62%, with a recovery of more than 2,19,000 patients in the last 24 hours. The ministry said that more than 1 crore 43 lakh patients have already recovered from this disease. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is over 28,13,000, which comprises of 16.25% of total positive cases. Delhi government has decided to provide free vaccines to every person aged above 18 years. Addressing a press conference in New Delhi today, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal said Delhi government has given the approval for purchase of 1 crore 34 lakh doses of vaccines. Terming the vaccine the only solution to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic, the Chief Minister said the government is preparing plans for administration of vaccine doses to the people. Expressing concern over the different pricing of vaccines for the state governments, the Chief Minister urged the vaccine manufacturers to provide the vaccine at 150 rupees per dose. He said one vaccine producer said that they will provide vaccines to the state government at 400 rupees per dose, and the second producer said that they will provide at 600 rupees per dose. He said these companies have promised to provide vaccine at 150 rupees per dose to the central government. He said efforts should be made to bring the people below 18 years of age under vaccination coverage. Amid the shortage of bed facilities in Delhi, the Chief Minister said that efforts have been made to increase the number of oxygen beds in the city. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia and Health Minister Satyendra Jain visited the Radha Swami facility this morning. The Chief Minister said that 200 ICU beds will be arranged in this facility for the treatment of COVID patients in few days, and the bed capacities would be increased to 5,000.
Odisha government has announced free vaccination for above 18 years of age. Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik said that the state government will incur an expenditure of 2,000 crore rupees to meet the goal. More from our Bhubaneswar correspondent.
Ahead of the phase 3 of the nationwide vaccination drive to be rolled out from the 1st of May, the state government has geared up to inoculate about 1.93 crore people in the age group of 18 to 44 years. It has placed orders before the Serum Institute of India for supply of 377 lakh doses of Covishield and Bharat Biotech for supply of a little more than 10 lakh doses of Covaxin, while designating Odisha State Medical Corporation Limited as the nodal agency for vaccine procurement. Meanwhile, the state government has ensured dispatch of medical oxygen to 6 states to meet the shortfall there, while entrusting the task of timely refilling and dispatch of oxygen cylinders to the COVID hospitals to the district drugs inspectors back home. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Centre steps up efforts to curb the shortage of medical oxygen across the country. Directs states and union territories to ensure liquid oxygen is exclusively used for medical purposes only. Over 14 crore 19 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. More than 2,19,000 patients recover in the last 24 hours. 3,52,000 fresh cases of COVID-19 reported in the country in the last 24 hours. Sardar Patel COVID Care Centre starts functioning at Radha Swami Beas in Chhatarpur, Delhi with 500 oxygen beds facility, the capacity to be increased to 5,000 beds. Delhi and Odisha government to provide free vaccines to every person aged above 18 years. In West Bengal, polling underway for the 7th phase in 34 districts. 55.12% polling recorded so far. Polling underway for 3rd phase of Panchayat elections in 20 districts of Uttar Pradesh. Nomadland wins Best Picture Award at the Oscars. Anthony Hopkins wins the Best Actor Award, and Frances McDormand wins the award for Best Actress. And in IPL cricket, Punjab Kings to take on Kolkata Knight Riders at Ahmedabad this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Many cities in 4 districts of Uttarakhand will observe curfew from 7 p.m. today till 5 a.m. on May 3rd amidst growing cases of COVID in the hill state. The state capital Dehradun, Rishikesh, Haldwani, Ramnagar, Lal Kuan, Tanakpur, Kotdwar and Swarg Ashram will observe curfew from today evening. Banks and essential services like vegetable and grocery shops, petrol stations have been permitted to operate during the daytime hours. The decision to impose curfew in the selected cities of Dehradun, Pauri Garhwal, Nainital and Champawat districts came on Sunday, hours after Uttarakhand government authorized district magistrates to take a call on imposing restrictions to curb growing cases of COVID. Moreover, the government also issued guidelines for marriage functions. Now onwards, only 50 people will be permitted to attend the function. 4,368 corona-positive cases were recorded in the state in the last 24 hours. In Chhattisgarh, the lockdown, which was to end today in most of the districts, including Raipur, has now been extended till 6 o'clock in the morning of May 6th. COVID infection continues to record an alarming surge. The borders of various districts will remain sealed during the lockdown. However, the administration of various districts have been given relaxation in some services, keeping in mind the convenience of people. A report.
In various districts of Chhattisgarh, including capital Raipur, where the lockdown has been extended, grocery, fruit and vegetable shops will remain closed. However, home delivery of these items can be done at a time fixed by the district administration. Home delivery from hotel, restaurant will be allowed till 8 p.m. Home delivery has also been allowed to e-commerce services during the lockdown. Banks will also be permitted to open for a limited time with limited staff. During the lockdown, ration will also be distributed to card holders through tokens from shops under the public distribution system. All government and private offices will remain closed during the lockdown period. Apart from this, entry of public in religious and tourist places will also be banned. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Centre has set up a COVID-19 help desk to monitor and swiftly resolve issues arising in international trade. For timely support and information on import and export queries, the trade community can access the help desk. Informing about the decision, Union Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said that the help desk will monitor the status of export and imports and difficulties being faced by trade stakeholders in view of the surge of COVID-19 cases. This will look into issues relating to Department of Commerce and Directorate General of Foreign Trade, DGFT, import and export licensing issues, customs clearance delays, in addition to import and export documentation issues, and banking matters, among others. Help desk would also collect and collate trade-related issues concerning other departments, both under the central and state governments, and will coordinate to seek the support and provide possible resolutions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today interacted with Prime Minister of Japan, Yoshihide Suga. In a tweet, Prime Minister said both the countries discussed progress in various ongoing bilateral initiatives. He said cooperation in diverse areas including high technology, skill development and in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic were also discussed.
Centre has set up a COVID-19 help desk to monitor and swiftly resolve issues arising in international trade. China's state-run Sichuan Airlines has suspended all its cargo flights to India for 15 days, causing major disruption to private traders' efforts to procure the much-needed oxygen concentrators and other medical supplies from China. This happened despite Beijing saying that India and China are in communication for COVID-19 assistance to India. The suspension of cargo flights came as a surprise to agents and freight forwarders who are frantically trying to procure the oxygen concentrators from China. Prasar Bharati correspondent in Beijing reports that in a letter to the sales agent on Monday, the Sichuan Shuanghang Logistics Company Limited, the company which is part of the Sichuan Airlines, said the airline has suspended its cargo flights on 6 routes, including Xi'an to Delhi, amid hectic efforts by private traders, both sides to procure oxygen concentrators from China. The 7th phase of West Bengal Assembly elections is under progress today without any major untoward incident in 34 assembly segments. The average voter turnout was registered at 55.12% till 1:30 p.m. 9 assembly segments, each of Murshidabad and Paschim Bardhaman, 6 each in Dakshin, Dinajpur and Malda, and 4 constituencies in Kolkata South are going to polls. There are 81,96,242 eligible voters in this phase, where 268 candidates are in fray. The Election Commission has arranged 8,634 main and 2,742 auxiliary polling booths for the polling purpose. There are 11,376 control units, ballot units and VVPATs provided. There are 26 general observers, 9 expenditure observers and 6 police observers to monitor the election. Now let us go over live to our correspondent Sudhindra, who is at the Kolkata port. Sudhindra, how is the polling progressing for the 7th phase?
You see, today I could visit several booths in Kolkata South region. The home turf of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, Bhawanipur, I could visit there, and then Bollygunj and Kolkata Port. Several booths I have visited today. The voting is progressing smoothly. No big queue is also seen, but voters were seen coming at regular intervals to vote. And a few incidents of EVMs not working was reported in some of the booths.
What are the arrangements made at the polling stations, keeping in view the spike in COVID case?
Yes, polling personnel, security personnel and the health workers coordinated well to guide the voters into the polling booth. At the entrance, the person saw the booth number and accordingly directed them towards the desired gate. And at the gate, thermal checking was done and voters' hands were sanitized and a plastic glove was given for the right hand. Then the voter was inked on the left index finger and allowed to cast the vote. Just 1,000 voters per booth eased the formation of the crowd, so ensuring social distancing. And of course, the masks was a must for every person who had come there.
Can you elaborate on the major issues for all the 34 seats in this phase?
Well, to tell you about major issues, development, unemployment and corruption were the 3 big issues that were raised during the campaign, and corona management also had become an election issue. The election campaign was stopped 72 hours before the election day, and hence most of the campaign was done virtually or through recorded messages being broadcast on the street nation.
Well, thank you so much, Sudhindra. In Bhawanipur, instead of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, TMC senior leader and Minister Shobhandeb Chattopadhyay is contesting from here against actor Rudranil Ghosh of the BJP. At Bollygunj, a high-profile fight is between veteran All India Trinamool Congress heavyweight and State Panchayat Minister Subrata Mukherjee and Dr. Fawad Halim of the Sanyukta Morcha. The BJP has fielded advocate Loknath Chatterjee. From Rash Bihari seat, Lieutenant General Dr. Subrata Saha of the BJP is contesting against TMC's Debashish Kumar.
Polling is underway for the 3rd phase of Panchayat elections in 20 districts of Uttar Pradesh. Voting, which began at 7 this morning, will conclude at 6 in the evening. State Election Commission has ordered strict adherence to the COVID protocols during the polling. Voters will have to put up masks and maintain social distancing. The Union Government has said that about 8,180 crore rupees has already been transferred directly into Punjab farmers' account against sale of their wheat crop. For the first time, farmers of Punjab have started receiving payments directly into the bank accounts. In the ongoing Rabi marketing season, Centre is continuing to procure Rabi crops at minimum support price (MSP) from farmers as per existing price support scheme. Wheat procurement is going on at brisk pace in Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Chandigarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and other states, with purchase of over 222.33 lakh metric tons till yesterday against 77.57 lakh metric tons during corresponding period of last year.
Chloe Zhao, Nomadland, has won the award for the Best Picture at the 93rd Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences AMPAS Award today.
And the Oscar goes to Nomadland.
China Won Zhao has become the first woman of color to win the Best Director award and a historically diverse group of winners took home awards. In the biggest surprise of a socially distanced Oscar ceremony held during the pandemic, Best Actor went to Anthony Hopkins for his performance in the dementia drama, The Father.
And the Academy Award for Actor goes to Anthony Hopkins, The Father.
Daniel Kaluuya won the Best Supporting Actor for Judas and the Black Messiah. Frances McDormand won the Best Actress for her role in Nomadland.
The Oscar for Best Actress goes to Frances McDormand.
Veteran South Korean actress Yoo Jung-yeon won the Best Supporting Actress for Minari. Denmark's Another Round won award for the Best International Feature Film. The Ingenuity Mars helicopter of NASA has made yet another successful flight on the Red Planet. NASA said it flew faster and farther on Sunday, April 25th, than in any tests it went through on Earth. The third flight of the helicopter was recorded by the U.S. Space Agency's Perseverance rover on Mars.
Today, Punjab Kings will take on Kolkata Knight Riders at Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. The match will start at 7:30 p.m. Delhi Capitals registered a thrilling win in the Super Over against Sunrisers Hyderabad in Chennai last night. Both the teams scored 159 runs in the allotted 20 overs. As a result, the match went into the Super Over. In another match yesterday, Chennai Super Kings defeated Royal Challengers Bangalore by 69 runs in Mumbai.
Now let us take a look at today's weather. National capital Delhi is having mainly clear sky with the minimum temperature recorded at 17 degrees Celsius. The maximum is expected to hover around 39 degrees. Mumbai has mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 28 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be around 35 degrees. Chennai is having partly cloudy sky with minimum temperature touching 28 degrees Celsius. Maximum expected to be around 36 degrees. Kolkata also has partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature in the metropolis was 28 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to go up to 40. Into the north, entire region including Jammu, Srinagar, Leh, Gilgit and Muzaffarabad is having mainly clear sky today. In Jammu, minimum temperature was 19 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will go up to 35 degrees. In Srinagar, minimum was 8 degrees Celsius, maximum will be around 25. In Leh, temperature is hovering between -1 degrees to 13 degrees. Gilgit had the maximum of 7 degrees Celsius and the minimum at 7 degrees and the maximum will be around 29. And in Muzaffarabad, temperature is shifting from 13 degrees to 33 degrees. In Chandigarh, temperature is hovering between 17 to 37 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, temperature will move from minimum of 16 degrees to the maximum of 36 degrees Celsius. And in Hyderabad, there is generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Temperature will move from 26 to 39 degrees Celsius. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Centre steps up efforts to curb the shortage of medical oxygen across the country. Direct states and union territories to ensure liquid oxygen is exclusively used for medical purposes only. Over 14 crore 19 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. More than 2,19,000 patients recover in the last 24 hours. 3,52,000 fresh cases of COVID-19 reported in the country in the last 24 hours. Sardar Patel COVID Care Centre starts functioning at Radha Swami Bias in Chhatarpur, Delhi. With 500 oxygen beds facility, the capacity to be increased to 5,000 beds. Delhi and Odisha government to provide free vaccines to every person aged above 18 years. In West Bengal, polling underway for the 7th phase. On 34 seats, 55.12% polling recorded so far. Polling underway for the 3rd phase of Panchayat elections in 20 districts of Uttar Pradesh. Nomadland wins the Best Picture award at the Oscars. Anthony Hopkins wins the Best Actor award, and Frances McDormand wins the award for the Best Actress. And in IPL cricket, Punjab Kings to take on Kolkata Knight Riders at Ahmedabad this evening. And with that, we end the midday news.